Marcus Radich, it is so great to have you back, talking about PageProof, the most amazing proofing solution, online proofing solution that I have used. I'm so glad that you're here, so we can talk a little bit more about PageProof, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's really great to be back. We had a great time at the Creative Pro Week, and
Right.
we're looking forward to next year.
Me too. It is amazing. We have a timer counting down how many days it is until the next Creative Pro Week, and it's incredible. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's going to be incredible. And I'm so glad you're going to be there as well. Listen, PageProof. Uh, we have been using PageProof recently on our website redesign. Creative Pro is we're doing a massive redesign of the site. I'm really excited about it. Can't wait to roll that out. We've been working with our developers. Uh, on the I guess it's the design, but it's really the development of it. They
Mm.
create these web pages, and we're giving them feedback on it. Now, I have been using PageProof on the Adobe side, the InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, all of that. But it was so cool to kind of just experiment. Is this going to work on a web page or emails or some of these other sort of more dynamic assets as media? And it's. I just got to tell you, it's working great. I mean, we're loving it. The developers are loving it, uh, which really kind of surprised me. I got to tell you, I did not expect the dev team to be as
Mm.
excited about PageProof as they are.
Yeah, it's really good to hear, and it's something that we find people when they license PageProof, they get it for a particular thing, so they think, look, we'll use this for our ads that we're doing, or maybe it's something a magazine or something
Mhm.
like that, and then they think, well, I did see in the material that it also supports video, or it also supports emails and things like that.
Right,
So it's really great to hear that you've pushed it into web pages and discovered, some of the benefits you can get from that, which, as we know, people are designing all their work inside of the Adobe tools. They get the designs done, and then those designs go out to these different media types quite quickly. And you've still
right,
got to check it. You
yeah.
you can't just say, "Hey, that's my job's done. I'm just going to let that go." When it gets out there, you've still got to check that work. So it's good to hear that that's working well.
You do. You have to check that the original asset is there, but then how is the asset being used? That's a whole different thing. How is it going to be used? So I love it that you can use it through the workflow. And your business model really makes that easy because you
Mhm.
don't have to like pay per app that you use or per
Mhm.
solution or even per uh, team member. I mean, you've got a
Mhm.
team product. So a bunch
Mhm.
of people, all of a sudden, it's like it makes it very easy for people to try out different stuff. Or reviewer, we've got a freelance reviewer, bring them on, let them review this thing. It's just so
Mhm.
easy once you get set up.
Yeah, so that was actually part of the business model from the very start, and we learned that from the beginning because we come from the industry, in that you have a team who works on things,
Yeah,
and at the very start, you may not know who's going to end up in your team. If you've got a project going on for a few months, you realize that, hey, this workload's getting pretty high. You bring in some contractors and some freelancers,
hmm,
just add them to your team, no problem. And it just makes it really good, especially for those times where you have your core team, you bring on some contractors for some big workload, and
yep.
then you have your core team, and it doesn't affect the license.
No,
It keeps it really well.
it's huge. As a business owner, it's huge because there are so many tools in our tech stack that we're using, Airtable and Google Workspace and so on. I mean, that are they're all per person. And so there are
Yeah,
times where I just need to have somebody in for 3 months. I
yeah,
don't, and it's crazy making. So I love what you're doing with PageProof around that. It's simple. You have a team, make it work. It's great.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
uh, different topic because it goes back to this question about what are the assets that you're using and what do you know about the assets you're using? How are they being used? I am really intrigued by this thing that you've been starting to talk about around the Content Authenticity Initiative (CAI), which I've been learning about over the past several years. I
Mm.
think it's an amazing initiative of how does the tech world help us understand whether something is real or not? How do that it's authentic or not?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's something that I think. we sat and looked at it and we thought to ourselves, does proofing have a role to play in knowing whether something is authentic or not?
Mhm.
And our very quickly we made the decision that the answer to that was yes. If somebody's sitting and they are proofing a piece of work, would it be useful for them to know that the content in here is signed and is known that it was produced by this author, or that it's able to be used? So
Absolutely.
uh, yeah, so we looked down the path of, what's out there, and we came across the CAI, and this is something that is being built into PageProof so that people proofing are able to check the authenticity of the content, and if there's no signature there, it's like, okay, we need to have a look into that. And it's something that I think it's a work in progress, as all things are. Um, you know, there are people joining the initiative. The camera manufacturers have joined, which is great. So you buy your new camera, you take it out of the box, and the first thing it asks you for is your name. So you put
Mhm.
your name in there, you go and take some shots, and they are digitally signed and authenticated, and that just travels with the piece of work. So it starts off even with the camera, right there. So that's great having that built into the hardware. And then, there are plugins that are coming out for Photoshop. Adobe Firefly signs everything, which is great. So anything that's been generated by artificial intelligence, particularly Adobe's artificial intelligence, has got an authenticity certificate in it. So there's some really, really great things. And we think that, as part of the proofing process, it's not just proofing, hey, is the spelling right and have we got the right image? Are we allowed to use that image? Is that our image? This
Right,
is what
right.
we'd like to have.
Right. And you mentioned Firefly. AI, of course, is at the heart of the question, is this real? Is this authentic? And I think it's so great that that PageProof is starting to get into this world, because this is a key question. What is this, a real thing, or that we're putting in our magazine or newspaper or newsletter or website or whatever, or is this fabricated with Gen AI? You need to know, and that might be okay if it's AI, but you
Mm,
need to know. You got to be aware
yeah,
of that. So that's
yeah.
that's that's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I think that's also important. I think for when you're signing something off, if you're an executive in an organization or you're a designer in an organization and you're using content, and then just knowing where it's coming from, that's all okay.
Yeah.
And then the executive team sign it off, and it goes out in front of 50 million people. It has to be right. So this is where we think PageProof and this feature really add
Yeah.
to that in terms of that workflow.
Well, it's key, especially your legal team is going to be all excited about this, because there are some very tricky legal questions around AI imagery. Is it even copyrightable?
Yeah.
Most legal professionals say right now, no. If you grab something from a Gen AI tool like Firefly or
Yeah.
something, and you just drop it into your
Mm.
magazine, that image may not be copyrighted at all. And
Yeah.
so you and your legal team need to know that. So it's
Yeah.
great that PageProof is being able to target these things. The
Yeah.
CAI, I really think the CAI, which originally New York Times was behind this, Adobe is one of the founding members. Um,
Yes.
it is a really important initiative that the design community needs to understand. So I'm so glad that you're getting involved with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we've joined up as a member, and I think there are 3,000 organizations which
Wow.
are members. So it's
Wow.
definitely growing, and it's the founding members obviously were smaller group, but people like the media outlets and other software companies and things are just joining up and
It's
and
great.
putting those tools in, which is great.
I did not realize it had grown so big. That's huge. Um,
Mm.
you know, proofing, what we were just talking about, this issue of you're taking content, you're putting it into your asset, magazine, newspaper, whatever it is, website, all the things you're creating, because you're pulling together all these assets, um, and you're putting it out there. A lot of people consider proofing to be, that's just the last stage. We just got to get it out there, get it done. But I have to say, the more I work with it, the more I feel like proofing is another word for good communication. It's
Mm.
it's really about the last mile or something of communicating what you're doing. And having that clear communication, we've had email for a long time. We use Slack, we use Teams, we use Google Workspace, we use all these different ways to communicate with each other. But proofing itself is a communication tool, and it's so great that you make that communication easy, trackable, recordable. You know who's doing what on something. It's really an important part of the communication process.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think something that I think we've evolved into understanding. And I use the word evolution because at the very very start of PageProof, we thought that proofing was at the very end. Here's the final PDF that's
Mm,
about to go on the press. We better
right.
check it
Yeah.
because that's kind of what you did in the physical world. You
Right.
literally got the press pass down and you checked it, right?
Right. Right.
Um, but what happens with digital tools is that you can bring that back into the workflow far earlier, and you can involve people in the process of just that finesse process, or that finalization
Right.
of the piece of work,
Right.
and get a better product. So you still haven't got people sitting inside your design tool or sitting next to you helping you move your mouse around. That's what you don't want.
Right.
But at least you've got people, which is, I remember as a retoucher, that used to happen to me. It had
Right.
someone sitting next to me and say, "Can
Right.
you just do that?"
Just
But yeah. So here now you can do this. You can get people's feedback. You can decide to incorporate the feedback if you think it's genuinely a good idea, or you can just move on and do other things with it. And look, the great thing is it allows you to bring it earlier into the process, and in the end, you get a better outcome.
yeah. Yep.
And people are all in the loop. Nobody gets a surprise at the end because everybody's been able to see what everyone's been commenting and contributing. So
Yeah.
it is a powerful part of it. You're absolutely right on that.
It really, really is. I love that, and it makes so much sense bringing it in earlier to the process because it's not just about getting approval. It's about, are we starting at the right place? Are we going along at the right? Are we building this in the right way along the way? So I love that.
Yeah, and also changes, like the last thing you want, and I'm thinking of printing presses because that's that. But if you even think about social media calendars, or you think about something that you've got to put into YouTube, the last thing you want is a whole lot of feedback
Right.
minutes before you're about to upload it
Right.
or publish it. It's
Right.
If you do it earlier, you're going to have more time and you're going to be more relaxed as you get
Yep.
closer to the deadline.
Yep.
So
Are
it
we
does
all
help.
on the same page? It really is just a way of saying, look, are we all on the same page about this? Great, we've got consensus. Let's move
Yeah,
forward. I think
yeah,
it's a great way to be thinking about all of these proofing tools. Listen,
yeah.
this is great catching up with you a little bit. Thank you so much for taking the time. I am very excited about the current state of PageProof, but even more about the future. Getting the
Yeah.
CAI involved. I know you've been doing some AI stuff itself into PageProof. Some of the new
Mhm.
tools that are coming out. I love that you just keep improving this tool. It's just like every 6 months, like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad you're here. And I really, just for everybody out there, I encourage you to, if you're not using PageProof now, go try it. It's,
Yeah.
is it like free, you
Yeah.
got like a free trial or something, right? It's
Got a
just,
free trial. Yeah. You just
it's,
go to pageproof.com, and there's a free trial button. Press the free trial button and try it out. Or if you want to talk to someone, but that's the other thing
hmm,
is, if you genuinely want someone to actually just, you want to explain exactly your workflow and talk
uh-huh.
about exactly your problem, if you like, or what it is that you're trying to solve. There's another button there that says book a demo, and you can
Oh,
talk to one of our team.
oh,
So
good.
that's there as well. Yeah.
Good, good. No, that's super helpful. It's a no-brainer. You just, if you're working on a team and you're working on project, any kind of creative project, it's kind of a no-brainer. You need to be at least be inquiring into whether PageProof is going to be will help you, and I think it probably will. So good. Anyway, Marcus, thank you again for being here. This is awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, David.